I'm 65. I live 2 blocks from the sea in Katong, and last month cost me exactly $2,700. Not a rounded guess, $2,700, and I'm going to open it up line by line the way I read my own bank statement. Before I get into all of it, do me one quick favor and subscribe with a like. It honestly helps us out over here. Now let me set the scene for you, because the number only makes sense once you can see where I'm sitting. It's evening. String lights are strung across the shophouse street, glowing soft and yellow over the tables. The smell of laksa drifts down East Coast Road, that warm coconut and chili smell that hits you before you even find the stall. Every few minutes, the MRT slides past at eye level, quiet and clean, full of folks heading home. And in front of me, on a thick white cup, sits my Copio, black coffee, strong, a little sweet. That's my evening. That's my kingdom. 4 years ago, my evenings looked nothing like this. Back in Ohio, I'd be watching the snow come down gray and heavy over the driveway, wondering when I'd feel my hands again. The winters there drag on for months. You wake up in the dark, you go to bed in the dark, and somewhere in between, the furnace runs so hard you can hear the money leaving the house. Then, spring comes, and just as you start to breathe, the property tax bill lands on the kitchen table. Every single year it climbed. And every single year, my Social Security check felt like it bought a little less. Same check, smaller world. That's a hard thing to watch happen to your own life. Here, it's the opposite. Here, that same check grows legs and walks further than I ever thought it could. Let me put it plainly. That month, I just described to you back home, the furnace, the taxes, the grocery run would have eaten twice my check before I ever got to the fun part. Twice. And out here in Katong, the whole month, the sea breeze and the laksa and the coffee included came to $2,700. Now you're already doing the math in your head, aren't you? Twice my check back home, half of it here. That gap right there is the whole reason I'm talking to you today. And I want to be honest with you about what this is, because there's a lot of noise out there. You've probably seen those scary headline numbers, you need a fortune, you need $1 million in the bank, don't even dream about it. That's not what this is. This is just the real month-to-month math, the kind you'd write out for yourself on the back of an envelope. Rent, power, water, food, getting around, the doctor, and one little treat because a man deserves one. Plain arithmetic, read out loud, nothing hidden. Now, I'll be straight with you about something. Getting to this number wasn't smooth for me at first. I made mistakes, real ones. The biggest was on rent timing. I didn't understand when to sign, when to walk away, how the whole rhythm of leases works out here, and it cost me. And then there's the long-term stay route, which trips up almost every American I meet. See, Singapore doesn't have a classic retirement visa the way a lot of folks assume. You stay long-term through a long-term visit pass, often through family or through a few well-planned alternatives. I stumbled through all of that the slow way, learning by getting it wrong over about 4 years. And here's the thing, you don't have to. Every one of those rookie mistakes, the rent timing traps, the long-term stay route, the little things nobody bothers to tell you until after they've cost you money, I sat down and wrote them all out plain in a little guide I put together called One Way Guide. It's basically the shortcut through the exact stuff that took me 4 years to figure out. If you're serious about turning a number like $2,700 a month into a real plan, it's the map I wish somebody had handed me on day one. You'll find it linked down in the description. Scan the code on screen or tap the link, whichever's easier. But set the paperwork aside for a minute, because I know what you actually came here for. You want the number opened up. You want to see, with your own eyes, how a modest fixed income buys a seaside life. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to read you my month, one line at a time, and next to each one, I'll tell you what that same thing cost me back in the States. So you're not just taking my word for it. And I already know which line you're bracing for. It's the one everybody's scared of. It's the one that makes people close the tab and say, "Nice dream, can't afford it." The rent for a place 2 blocks from the water. In a neighborhood where the sea air comes right up the street at night, surely that's the number that ruins the whole thing, right? Well, pour yourself a coffee and let me show you. So let's start with the big one. The number everybody's scared of, the rent for my 2-bedroom walk-up, 2 blocks from the water in Katong. The rent, that 2-bedroom walk-up near Katong, 2 blocks from the water, 1,960 Singapore dollars. In American money, about 1,450 a month. That's the whole thing, the big, scary number, right there on the table. And here's the kicker. Back outside Columbus, Ohio, I paid more than that for a tiny condo with a parking spot and a view of another building's brick wall. Same money, less space, gray sky for half the year. Here, I open the window at night, and I actually hear the sea. Read that again, less than a small condo back home, and I've got the ocean 2 blocks away. So already, before we go one line further, the thing everybody's afraid of turns out to be the thing that saves me. Rent's supposed to eat you alive out here. It didn't. It set me up. And once you see that number land soft instead of hard, the rest of the month gets a whole lot easier to plan. Let's keep going down the bill. Electricity. Now, Singapore is warm the way a wet towel is warm, especially in the hot months. I run the aircon at night, so I can actually sleep. You'd think that'd wreck me. My power bill last month? 149 Singapore dollars. About 110 American. That's it. That's a whole month of cool air over my bed. And I'll tell you what makes me smile every time that bill lands on the table. Back home, my cable television bill alone, just the TV, not the power, not a thing else ran more than that every single month. So the electricity that keeps me comfortable in the tropics costs me less than what I used to pay a company to show me reruns. Let that one sit for a second. Water's next, and it's the quiet little line nobody thinks about. 54 Singapore dollars, right around 40 American, for a whole month of showers, cooking, cleaning, the works. I barely notice it went out of the account. It's the kind of number you don't even feel. Then, the internet. And this one, I care about. Because when you're this far from the grandkids, a good connection is oxygen. I've got fast fiber, real fiber, the kind that doesn't stutter when I'm on a video call with my daughter, and the whole family piles onto the couch. 47 Singapore dollars, about 35 American. And back in Ohio, I paid nearly double that for internet that dropped out every time it rained hard. Half the price, twice the speed. I'm not going to pretend that isn't a nice feeling. Now, somewhere in here, I've got to be straight with you, because I made mistakes on this stuff so you don't have to. The timing on when you sign a lease, how the long-term stay route actually works when there's no classic retirement visa, I fumbled some of that in my first year. Cost me a little time and a little money I didn't need to spend. So I wrote all of it down, plain and honest, in a little guide I put together called One Way Guide. If you scan the code on the screen or grab the link below, it's the shortcut through the stuff that took me 4 years to sort out. No hard sell. It's just there if you want the map instead of the wrong turns. Okay, food. This is where Katong really shows off. I eat at the hawker center most days. You walk in, and the whole place hits you at once. The wok hissing behind the stall, the clatter of trays coming back to the return station, laksa and satay and chili crab all fighting for your nose at the same time. I sit down with my copio in a thick white cup, and honestly, some mornings I just grin like a fool, because this is my life now. My corner stall's got a faded red awning, been there longer than I have. Auntie Sue runs it. Little woman, quick hands, sharp eye. Every time I show up, she looks me over and says the same thing. "You too skinny, eat more." And then she piles the plate anyway, whether I asked for it or not. That's not a transaction. That's a neighbor. Now, before I say the number, let me ask you guess what my whole month of eating cost. Go on, put a figure in your head, you'll guess high. Everybody guesses high, because back home, eating out is a luxury you ration. Here's the real one. 610 Singapore dollars for the entire month, about 450 American. And I'm not talking sad little meals to save a buck. I mean real food. Hot, fresh, cooked in front of me every single day. I eat better here on 450 than I did on the nights I splurged at a restaurant back in the States. That's not me being cute. That's just the arithmetic. So let's tally what we've got on the table so far. Rent, power, water, internet, and a full month of eating like this. Add those up and I'm sitting a little over 3,100 Singapore dollars for the whole lot. Call it around 2,000 American, give or take. The core of a good life, already paid for, and I've still got room to breathe. But I haven't given you the final number yet. On purpose. Because we're not done. That's rent, power, water, internet, and food all on the table. But the two numbers most Americans get flat out wrong are still coming. What healthcare really costs me out here, and whether a king by the sea is still allowed one real luxury. Both of those, next. Healthcare and the little luxuries. Those are the two numbers most Americans get flat out wrong. But let me start with the one right before them that nobody ever expects to be cheap. Getting around. I gave up my car years ago. And here's the thing, folks. Back home, always brace for out here, the COE. That's the certificate you have to buy in Singapore just for the right to own a car. And yes, it can cost more than the car itself. It scares people half to death. So I just skip the whole circus. I ride the MRT. Cool, quiet, clean, gliding past the shop houses of Katong at eye level while I sit there with nothing on my mind. And for the odd trip when my knees say no more walking, I grab a taxi. Add it all up, a whole month of getting everywhere I want to go. And it comes to $101. That's about $75. $75. Back in Ohio, my old pickup truck cost me $400 a month, once you counted the gas, the insurance, the little repairs that always found me. $400 just to sit in traffic. Here, I pay $75, and somebody else does the driving. No COE nightmare, no oil changes, no parking. That one still makes me smile. Now, healthcare. This is the big fear, isn't it? This is the one that keeps good people from ever taking the leap. What happens if you get sick on the other side of the world? Let me put your mind right at ease. The care here is genuinely top-notch. Clean hospitals, sharp doctors, short waits. A good friend of mine, a fellow named Roy, who's been out here 9 years, had his hip done last spring, walked out grinning, kept telling everyone how gentle the whole thing was. I saw it firsthand. And for that peace of mind, I carry a private plan. Mine runs me $459 a month. That's about $340. Now, I won't pretend that's pocket change. It's a real line on my budget. And I look at it every month. But you know what it buys me? Sleep. I lie in bed at night, and I do not worry about getting sick. $340 for that feeling is the easiest money I spend. So that's the number people fear the most, out in the open. Not so terrifying once you see it, is it? And now, the fun part. Because here's what I believe. A king by the sea is allowed one real luxury. What's the point of all this careful arithmetic if you never treat yourself? So once a week, I walk down to the East Coast as the sun's going down. There's a seafood place I love, with the plastic stools, and the chili crab that makes a mess of your hands, and the sea breeze coming right off the water. I sit there and I feast like it's a holiday. And once a month, I get a proper massage that works the years out of these shoulders. All of that, the weekly seafood, the massage, comes to $270. About $200. $200 a month to live like a king one night a week. String lights coming on over East Coast Road, the smell of grilled prawns, a cold drink sweating in my hand, Back home, a single nice dinner out could run me $80 before the tip. Here, that same $200 buys me the whole month of treating myself. All right, grab a pen. I'm going to add it up out loud, and I want you to check my math. No rounding, no hand waving. Line by line, the way I read my own bank statement at the kitchen table. Rent, my 2-bedroom walk-up 2 blocks from the sea, $1,450. Electricity, running the aircon through the hot nights, $110. Water, $40. Internet, the fast fiber, $35. Food, a whole month of eating at the Hawker Center, Auntie Sue shoving extra onto my plate, $450. Transport, the MRT and the taxis, $75. Healthcare, that sound sleep, every night, $340. And the one luxury a king allows himself, $200. Add it up. Go on. $1,450. And $110 and $40. And $35. And $450. And $75. And $340. And $200. It lands on $2,700. Exactly. Not a guess, not a rounded off number to make a nice video. $2,700 right on the nose. 8 lines, and they land right where I told you they would in the very first breath. And that same month back in Ohio would have swallowed twice my Social Security check before I ever got to the fun part. Here, it leaves me room to breathe, and it puts me 2 blocks from the ocean. So now let me turn it around and hand it to you. Because that number up on my kitchen table, that's your number too. Does your check clear $2,700? Then this life is already yours. Start planning it. Not someday, not in a dream, now. Rent, power, water, internet, food, transport, healthcare, one treat. That's the whole ballgame. That's the arithmetic. And if your monthly check comes to $2,700 or more, this seaside life in Katong isn't a fantasy you watch other people live. It's already within your reach. Don't rush it. That's my honest advice. Take your time. Do a little homework up front. Sort your paperwork, run your own numbers on your own kitchen table, and check them twice like I just made you do. A few quiet months of getting ready, and the rest runs smooth as copio in a thick white cup. And then, one evening, come see it for yourself. Come stand on East Coast Road when the string lights flicker on and the laksa smell drifts down the street and the sea air rolls in warm. Sit on one of those plastic stools with me. You've done the math now. You know it works. So come see the string lights. I'll save you a seat.